and I'm going to kick off the afternoon. We've got a couple of speakers lined up to really talk about, in particular, our theme around the urgency of doing. So with that, I'm going to bring Denelle Dixon back up, along with the former mayor of Rome, Francesco Rutelli.
We get to sit on these little chairs. They're very comfortable. So you're not just the former mayor of Rome, you're also a former member of parliament. You also are the former minister of culture. You've also written 2 books about Rome. You've done a lot.
Do you really want to talk about me?
Yeah.
No, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet so many people engaged in contemporary transformation. I'm very interested to understand you coming from the US and from all over the world. And the real reason for I've been hired here is to be a cicerone. Do you understand this? Cicerone means somebody explaining where we are, where you are. That's astonishing. That's not absolutely normal. It's Rome.
It's Rome.
And I think everybody of us, starting from us, the Romans, we absolutely do undervaluate where we are and why that is a unique place in the world with absolutely contemporary meaning. Allow me to say, you're a company where this word comes from.
The stellar
Company.
Oh, company.
It comes from Rome, of course. That means cum panis, sharing the bread. Compagnia. So when you write .com, that's from here. When you write app, that's from here. When you write video, it's Latin, video, to look. When you computer, it's a Latin word. Digital means digitum, comes from Latin. So you are really in the Silicon Valley capital.
Well, what I've learned is pretty much everything comes from Rome. I learned that before. Cupertino, lots of things come from Rome and from Italy. I would love to start by talking a little bit about, I know that we want to talk about a lot of Rome and what Rome has to offer, but I do want to focus on you for just a minute and your activism. You started your activism at an early age. So we're focused on the urgency of doing. Was there a lot of urgency for you to do at that point?
I think I spent much my life in public service and politics, and but I started with the civil and human rights campaign. So just obtaining maybe small targets, small goals, but able. That was very interesting to understand. During those years, I started in end of 70s, that really the society was ready for those changes, and politics and institution not. So that's very useful if somebody starts, somebody pushes, somebody wants to change, because then maybe institution will follow.
So in terms of your, when you led this city, and also you've written books about Rome and Italy, what do you think is so special about this place?
You see, I had the honor of being the mayor of the city. We made many transformations. If you go seeing the City of Music, the new auditorium, new architectures were made, and many new things were made under our common job, common work. Let me say, if you look behind that wall, and there is Via Merulana, you see, how to say, quite ordinary, quite not special compound. It is absolutely unique in the world. You go south, San Giovanni Laterano, at the end of the street, you see an obelisk. You think, what is the city in the world with most obelisk? Cairo, Alexandria, of course it's Rome, where 13 obelisks are. This is what, get out from here, look at the obelisk. It is the tallest monolith in the world. The tallest. What is the tallest obelisk in the world?
I don't know.
Washington, D.C., of course.
No, it's
Yes.
not.
But it's
Sometimes we do think that way.
no, but anyway, that is modern. This obelisk is 3,400 years old. So you get out, you look at this, it's normal. That's not normal. You look at in the other direction, you look north, Santa Maria Maggiore. It's, how to say, a climatic nightmare. Because this church was created in the 4th century due to the fact that August 5th, the snow fell in Rome. It was a miracle. The Pope was dreaming about that, and he was asked to build a great church, that is Santa Maria Maggiore. That is the place where you have the most beautiful mosaics in the world. That's better than Constantinople, better than Venice, better than etc., etc. If you go east, you find, that's not such a beautiful building, you find the Villa di Mecenate, House of Mecenate. Mecenate, that's easier in French language. Mécénat, or Spanish, Mecenat. That means sponsorship, mecenatismo. Who was Mecenate? 100 meters away. Mecenate was the real counselor for August, the emperor. But his motto was, tall trees attract lightning. I fulmini.
Nice.
He wanted,
That was his motto?
tall trees
Attract lightning.
attract lightning. Why that? Because he thought it was much more important to advise the emperor while staying silent and using culture and sponsorship to create a ruling class around the emperor August. He died, I think, 8 before Christ. If you go in Arapachis, Arapachis is the monument August created when he declared the world peace. Rome was able to assess that the world was in peace. Not so real. A celebrated historian, Tacitus, said they made a desert and they call it upon peace. But anyway, Rome was quite a military power, and Arapachis has very likely Mecenate, his villa. This building is built over his ancient villa, was immense.
Well, I find it fascinating that you just
And at the very end, the other side, you go east, and you go west, and you got Domus Aurea, the villa of Nero, the evil, bad guy of the ancient times. He was not so evil. There was a wonderful exhibition in British Museum explaining why he was not so evil. But anyway, he was very ambitious, so he burned the city in order to try to have only his villa at the very center. That's not the real history, but so few hundred meters north, south, east, west, you find something that is unique. Even if you go around, you see a gray city, not so wonderful. But if you dig, and that's also your work, your job, digging, understanding, and creating something new. you find something.
Well, that was what I was going to say when you said built under this building. It feels like, and I don't know how many of you have spent time seeing the buildings in this city, but there's so much history under every building, which is a lot about the urgency of doing, because there was so much need to build and create and to build more, and then to dig and to bring it all back up, which is, I think, so much like we were speaking before about San Clemente and everything under San Clemente. It's just a phenomenal city to be able to see history, living history.
Yes, because history is stratification. Not so simple. You have to understand what lies behind, what lies down, and that's the most interesting thing to do. And you can do that in Rome rather than in any other place in the world.
Yeah. I was mentioning before we were speaking, before we came up here, that my 13-year-old son has come here, and we are from the United States, and he's here now, and he spent just before the week before they finished learning about Roman history. And so to come and to see all of this has been pretty fascinating for him. So our organization works on emerging technologies and innovation, and a lot of the folks that are here are also innovating and growing. And what you've done, not just when you were mayor, but also now, you're really focused on changing and innovating Rome and what can be brought to Rome. Do you want to talk a little bit about your work with Arnica?
Now, today I share the Film Industry Association that is quite traditional. And I proposed, and that was unanimously accepted, that Italy is the first country in the world, other than MPA in Los Angeles, where the streamers participate in the Film Industry Association. So we got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Paramount, Disney Plus on board. That's very important to make our people build solution for the business, creativity, and for the public that is made. So I think nothing can remain like it was. That was we talking about since the beginning, and that of course is necessary in your work. I'm very interested in what you're doing. I read the Matthew Ball, guide about the metaverse. That's interesting, because when he speaks about blockchain, he says that immutability and transparency must be the condition of this. You work on this. I think it's something many people try to understand and to deal with in the world. So it's a very interesting gathering here in Rome. My only the promise I ask you, I spoke about Via Merulana, this street. I spoke about Cum Panis company. If you go north, you will find, and going out, you will find a wonderful place where to buy bread, cakes, that is named upon Panella. So if you walk out, then we will tell me if my advice was acceptable. I'm not on the board of Panella. I'm just a client. Sometimes I'm just a client. So, but I do appreciate good cakes, good bread, and good food. So it's 200 meters east.
So one of the things that, as we arrived here a week ago, obviously we're arriving at a time in very interesting political environment here in Italy. And how do you see the political environment that you have, that's growing today? What kind of impact will that have on innovation and the future of Italy?
Not so relevant. I think, you see, the issue everywhere in the world in our democracies is that not so many people attend when there are the elections, especially among young people. So there is a lack of confidence in participation. Also in Italy, that was a country where 80% of people used to go to polls. Today, 1 out of 3 do not vote, more than and more than 1 out of 2 among young voters do not go. It happened in France, here in Europe. It happens, of course, in the States, where you got a great polarization, political polarization. And it happens, sadly, in a larger part of the world where you do not vote at all. But anyway, I think the government, this new government won the elections, and I think they deserve to be put on the let's taste the cake.
And see what happens.
Absolutely, but won't change so much anyway for the fundamentals, also because Italy is part of Europe, and Europe has got a great series of constraints also, rules, and being part of Europe as a union is decisive for us to be part of a wider community in a world that is shifting so quickly towards East. No? But not so easily like it seemed to be until a few years ago, with globalization running, and trade cooperation running. You perfectly know that servers for bitcoins were in China. They had to flee somewhere along the Silk Road in other countries due to a decision by China. And that is also, of course, an energy issue. But that's, you work in maybe the most interesting landscape in the world. I just read, of course, I do not know, but the debate, merge, green issue, sustainability.
Ethereum merge.
Yes, sustainability. That's interesting also to see that many of these crypto words comes from Rome, because
Does that surprise any of you?
Ethereum, but it's Ethereum. It's a Latin word. When Zuckerberg decided to use some word for his, let's say, his initiative in blockchain, crypto, etc., he adopted absolutely all Latin words. All Latin words. Meta is a Greek word, and ancient Greek word. So it's helium is another Latin word, Greek and Latin. It comes from the sun, helios, and helium, and you know it's a gas, very, very, very critical. So I think that contemporary word and contemporary world have roots. Understanding roots sometimes, not always, helps in transforming our contemporary time.
So you are confident that because of these roots, that no matter what happens, we'll still have transformation and opportunity to grow and innovate.
Without transformation, there is no life.
Yeah. If we think about Rome and where we are today, what is, if you would recommend to everyone here, what is the one thing that you would recommend that they do while they're here?
Maybe to have a walk around a hill behind here that is named Celio Hill, nearly unknown. Celio is a green hill. That's very natural. There were vineyards, orti, where to cultivate, and you got churches with secret gardens, You got fantastic...
I hear there are 542 churches in Rome. Am I right?
No, it's many, many more.
Oh.
Many more. You see, when the popes, the popes were very autocratic, of course. I just give you an example. Sixtus IV, who made the famous Sistine Chapel, used to go around the city on a horse, but he was very impatient because there was confusion in the streets, vendors, confusion. So he decided to build a bridge to cross from Campus Martius to the Vatican, because otherwise he had to just to pass through the only bridge existing towards St. Peter's, that was Ponte Elio, Ponte Sant'Angelo, in front of the castle, in front of the Vatican. I give you also another advice. That is the very place where we, the humankind, started keeping right while walking or driving. Because in the jubilee of the year 1300, the Pope, Bonifacio VIII, because there was confusion, there was a mess crossing the river, people died because the representatives were using to say, it's up to me, I will start. No, it's up to me. I come from France, I come from Spain, I come from Naples. So they had clashes. So the Pope decided, if you go to the castle, you keep right. If you go to the Mount, Monte Giordano, you keep right. That's the first time it started in Rome, and Dante, the first time, no, it's not in the UK, of course. UK quite did not accept that. So Sixtus IV was he hated not to be able to run through the streets of Rome, so he decided to build a bridge named upon his name, Ponte Sixtus Bridge, and he built it picking up the stones from the Colosseum and putting a taxation on prostitutes. The Pope, yes, it's real. So Rome is a never-ending series of discoveries. So the popes are strange. You can imagine how to bring for the ancient Rome the obelisk along the Mediterranean. You can imagine to raise up under Sixtus V the obelisk of San Giovanni, end of this street. Hundreds of horses, cows, animals, and slaves had to work on that. Times are changing. You are working on brain, technology, intelligence, artificial intelligence, but physical life still exists. So not creating a stellar bridge in Rome, but some bridges all over the world, yes.
Well, we are definitely trying to build a stellar bridge to the global world. Thank you so much for joining us today. Grateful to have someone who is so in love with this city to be here to share that with us.
Grazie. Thank you so much.